And then when I went to university, I was like, I definitely want to study, equity in particular, and human rights because of just my own experiences. And obviously, where I, went to school and stuff like that really, really geared me there. And it worked because I never stopped talking. So my mom always says, you're fighting for everyone's rights. You might as well make it a living. You know what I'm saying?
There
You
you
might
go.
as well do something about it. And so I went to U of T. I remember human rights and equity studies. I didn't have a great experience there. I actually experienced a lot of pushback even when I went there. I At the same time I had gone to university, I started to find myself. So I started to practice my faith. I never really liked how I learned Islam growing up. It was very fear based.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel really connected to it. And because I was so disconnected, I went on this journey. My mom took me to a few countries, and in one of them, she said, "We're going to Islam because you definitely got." And I went to a Muslim country. It was the very first time I had seen like Muslim women like wearing hijab in a way that I just never seen it that way. Like the way that everybody wore it, that it wasn't a thing. There wasn't this fear around it, and it was the very first time I started to think about Islam differently. And then I started to learn about it in books. But when I went to school, I mean, by the time I got to second semester, I was wearing full hijab, abaya, and jilbab. Like it was like I was in it. I loved everything about what hijab meant, what the principles were. I was just in it. I was studying at the time as well, and so I was also very interested in learning about like human rights and Islamic thought. So everything for me was a intersection. It wasn't until I had in my women and gender studies we were studying about how the immigration of Algerian women to France, and in the literature it talked about how France expected Algerian women to take off their hijabs. And I remember reading that literature, and this one kid says, like he shares his opinion. He says, I'm like, if France tried to help them, why didn't they take it off? Like it's such a barbaric. And he's sitting right across me. And I'm quite literally wearing my favorite color, which is black, which I know to them at the time looked very political, but I just like black. And I'm wearing a long hijab, and he's looking at me. He's like, "These women, like France tried to say." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I remember getting so upset that when I spoke up, I said that what he said was very hateful. And I said, "This is borderline like hate speech, and like this is inappropriate." But instead of like the professor backing what I was saying, he actually told me to leave.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, told me to leave.
Wow.
And it was like when I think about it, I remember the first thing I remember is I remember leaving, trying to avoid eye contact from everybody because I didn't want to cry. I didn't want anybody to see that I was upset by that. But I remember when I left the door and I closed it, my hijab got caught on the door. It's so embarrassing. I don't have any the whole on that same day I was in the library, some guy called me Batman. It was just a mess that day. That day
Oh my god.
was a mess. And I remember thinking to myself, like, is this where I want to be? Like I could get a degree at a school, I could, do what I need to, but am I willing to just tolerate an environment that doesn't care about me? Just so I can get an Ivy League degree, right? Just so I could be quote unquote successful, allegedly, right? It's all allegedly, right? And it was that moment I decided to drop out of U of T and switch schools. And I know that upset my parents a lot. They're like, "Oh my God, this is U of T. What are you doing?" I said, "U of T ain't serving me, ma. Like, I'm trying to do a degree, and I want it to reflect what I believe in, but I'm not gonna do it in a space that doesn't want me there."
Yeah.
And I know it's probably overzealous 21-year-old, but at the time it felt right. And so I transferred. I went to York University, which isn't the best, but is a lot better. Yeah, all the teachers kind of look like me. Students kind of look like me, and I enjoyed it. And I had learned about human rights in a way that I had never learned, because for the very first time I saw a curriculum where the students were like participating in it. Miss, I don't want to learn that. Like, like, professor, I don't know if this is great. I will never forget one guy said to a professor, "Why are we learning about all these white men?"
I love that question.
That was my first, was my philosophy class. That was my first day, okay? Back, leaving this dramatic, institution I was at, and first day into my lecture hall, some guy goes, "Why am I learning all these white men?" And I said, "I am in the right school. I am in the right school.
This is it.
I finally found a place I belong." It was like, I remember went up to that guy. I don't even know him. He just went, you know, I really love what you said. He said, what part? I said, the white part. I was like, this is gonna be so crazy. He's like, okay. And I walked away. I just want, for me, it meant a lot more because for the first time I saw people really participating and really people pushing the envelope. And it wasn't about getting in line. It wasn't not being too much, you know, and saying too much. It was really about like challenging people and accepting the challenge. I saw the way the professor accepted that challenge. I thought he was gonna get kicked out. Like I got kicked out. You know, I was like, oh, he can kick out. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't. The professor's like, you're right. Why are we learning about these white men?
Yeah.
These particularly, you know, passed away white men. Why are we? And I just said, oh, I'm in the right place. I made the wrong call. Thank God.
These are your people,
you know?
yeah.
Hey, if you like that clip, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more content and more conversations with incredible Muslim artists and creatives. The Halal Gap is a Mosquers production. Stay up to date with us by searching Mosquers Film Fest on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.